Okay, it's the January Regents multiple choice, and I'm beginning at question 11. Which three-dimensional figure will result when a rectangle 6 inches long and 5 inches wide is continuously rotated about the longer side? So here is where you have to use your imagination. Okay, we did not cover this topic in class, and this is one that I usually visualize with some kind of manipulative, because it becomes a three-dimensional figure. What three-dimensional figure? So if I have a rectangle and it's 6 by 5, and I rotate it around the longer side. So I'm going to put a line here. This is going to be my axis that I'm going to rotate this thing around the longer side. This rectangle is going to spin around and around and around in 3D, like in an oval. I'm like, not like around and around and around a line. So imagine if this corner is spinning in 3D space, it's going to make a circle. And if this corner does the same thing, it also will make a circle, which means now I have a what? I have a cylinder. So it's not going to make a rectangular prism. And so then the cylinder will have a radius of 5 and a height of 6. Kind of a fun one. I like those. Okay. Number 12. Which statement about parallelograms is always true? Oh, look at another quad quiz question. Okay, so all parallelograms. Are the diagonals congruent in all parallelograms? Well, they're not in a rhombus, and if you've been paying attention, we already had a question on that. The diagonals are not always congruent in a rhombus. So this is not always true. The diagonals bisect each other. If you remember, this is Mrs. Curtis's favorite way to prove that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. And so I'm going to circle this because I know that is a great way to prove that something is a parallelogram, so it must always be true. And then the diagonals are perpendicular. Well, they are in a rhombus, but they're not in a rectangle. The diagonals bisect their respective angles. They do that in a rhombus, not in a rectangle. So the answer to 12 is 2. From a point on the ground, 1/2 mile from the base of a historic monument. All right, we got to draw a picture here. We got a monument, and we have a point on the ground that is, there's an angle of elevation of 11.87 degrees and 1/2 mile. Well, we got miles, and it wants to know to the nearest foot what is the height of the monument in feet. So right away you should notice that we have miles and we have feet. Well, there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So if I divide that by 2, I think the easier way to do this problem is to convert to feet right away. So this is 2,640 feet, and we want to find out how many feet that is. And this is a trigonometry question. So here's our featured angle. This is opposite, this is adjacent. So I'm going to write tangent 11.87 equals x over 2,640. Now, a couple of you have been emailing me and you've been having a hard time solving these trig problems, and the number one reason I suspect is because you have your calculator in radians instead of degrees. So please make sure that your calculator is in degrees. 2,640 tangent 11.87 equals x, and I'm going to put that in my calculator. and I get 554.89, and we're going to the nearest foot, and so that would be 555. Choice 2. Okay. By the way, a lot of you are, when you do this, and if I have it in the wrong mode, let's see what you get. If I don't know if I want to take the time in the video, but a lot of times you guys are, I'm wondering if one of these answers is when your calculator's in the wrong mode. All right, let's just take a second. Let's see here. I'm going to go Document, Settings, and I'm going to change this to radians. And then escape. Oh, it didn't go. Oh, guess what? My calculator battery is way low. Alright, I'm probably spending too much time on this, but 7, 2, you guys are better at this than I am because I don't use my calculator. Okay, I'm in radians. So now if I go up and I enter, oh, you get a negative number. You get negative 2207. So that should be your first clue that, whoa, I really messed something up. I didn't do this correctly. Okay? So, you know, trigonometry will often give you a clue, not always, that you are doing something wrong. All right, so let's go on to question 14. The area of a sector of a circle, another one we've been practicing so much because your teacher knows what's going to be on the test. Okay, so we have a sector with a radius of 15. And the area itself is 75 pi. What is the measure of the central angle? So what is the angle out of 360 degrees that gives me an area of 75 pi when the area of a circle is pi 15 squared? That's the formula, and you have to have it memorized. Well, pi is on both sides, and everything is multiplying. I don't see any pluses or minuses, so a quick trick is I can divide both sides by pi. And then if I take 75 and multiply that denominator of 360 away, I have 227,000 equals 225x. And now I'm going to divide by 225, and I get 120. So that's a 120 degree angle, and again, my answer's there, so I'm pretty pumped. Okay. All right, number 15. Point M divides AB so that AM to MB is 1 to 2. If A has coordinates -1, -3, and B has coordinates 8, 9, the coordinates of M are the following. Okay, so again, this is another topic that we have not covered in class. And it usually appears on the Regents one time, and it's a fairly complicated process. And there are many ways to solve this, and you can actually probably Google this question and find a video that will show you how to do it another way. But what it really means is that we have a segment, AB, and M is somewhere in between, but it's going to make it 1 to 2. So what you can see is that actually there are 3 parts. This is M. There are 3 parts of this segment. There's 1 here and there's 2 here. So if we want to find point M, we want to go 1/3 of the way from A to B. So if this were a map, we would be traveling 1/3 of the total distance to get to point M. Okay, so let's see. So if A begins at -1 and goes all the way to 8 to get to B, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're making a list. And B is down here. Okay. And then the Y's go from -3 to 9. So this list is going to be longer. -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A to B. And we have 3 groups. How many numbers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, whoops, don't count the first, sorry, don't count the first point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to have 3 groups of 3. And then here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're going to have 3 groups of 4. So that means the first point along the way is going to be 2, 1. And the second point along the way is going to be 5, 5. That would be somewhere right around here, 5, 5. And this point is at -1, -3, and this point is at 8, 9. And the last point is 8, 9. So, you can't always do this because sometimes there's fractions, but this worked out perfectly because I could divide the groups evenly. So I know that M is at 0.21.